They laughed when she bought the land. What does a single woman want with all this? They asked. But Nkechi didn't answer. She cut. She dug. She planted. Not just seeds, but purpose. He came with no noise. His name was Uche. A widower. A builder. His eyes told stories of pain. And healing. And when he saw Nkechi, he didn't chase. He simply bowed his head. And waited. Chuka returned to her like a shadow. Desperate for one last taste of light. But Nkechi didn't flinch. She gave him water. Nothing more. Go in peace, she said. Not from love, but because bitterness was too heavy to carry, Uche didn't force his way into their lives. He offered help. Gentle words. Patience. But Nkechi's second heart watched closely. Trust was not something she gave freely anymore, not after being shattered so deeply. Edeora was dying. Her letter held no excuses, only truth. We were used, Nkechi. Both of us. But you found your power. I lost mine. Nkechi wept quietly, not for Edeora, but for all the women who never found their way back. They didn't like it. A woman thriving. Alone. Without begging. Without kneeling. They planned to buy the land beside hers and build a bar. Let's distract her, one said. But Nkechi had faced worse than men with money. The rain came suddenly. Builders ran. Uche offered shelter. But Nkechi stood there. Protecting her son. Soaked, strong. Because no storm could break a woman who had already survived the flood of betrayal. That night, she overheard him. Dear God, make me a man like my mama. Strong, but kind. Nkechi turned away, tears hot in her eyes. She had built many things. But none more powerful than the heart inside that boy. They couldn't ignore her anymore. The same elders who once questioned her choices now asked for her voice. Nkechi accepted, not for praise, but to open doors for girls who would walk after her. She had loved. She had burned. She had rebuilt. The second heart within her. Still alive. Still watchful. But now, peace is strange when you've lived in pain, because this time Nkechi wasn't her joy carefully, brick and by love. Brick. Real but love, now that everything was calm, was beginning to knock again. She couldn't sleep. Her heart, both of them, were restless. Something was coming. Uche had waited long enough. He knew Nkechi didn't need saving. She needed patience. And now, he asked, not for her hand, but for her trust. Let me love you with no expectations. Her second heart blinked. Confused, whispers returned to Yumedim. But this time, they weren't about adultery. They were about land. A faceless company was buying up farms. Fast. Quiet. Ruthless. And the one they wanted most. Hers, her son rarely cried. But that night, he woke screaming. They're coming. Mama. Grandpa said they're coming again. Nkechi's spine turned to ice. Some legacies. Don't die easily, Chief Iminaik, Chuka's uncle. He had once tried to block Nkechi's marriage. Now he returned, dressed in agbada, dripping gold, offering to buy peace. But his eyes held poison. Sell the land, Nkechi. Before you lose more than crops. For the first time in months, her second heart whispered again. Don't trust this new love. Don't trust this peace. Remember how they all smiled before they stabbed you? Nkechi held her chest. The war inside had restarted. She saw it with her own eyes. Uche. Talking to her enemy. Smiling. Laughing. It was brief, but enough. Nkechi's words spun. Another betrayal. Or am I seeing wrong? Her second heart didn't wait for proof, it prepared for battle. Children see what adults ignore. In Obina's sketch, Uche's smile was black. His eyes, empty. Nkechi gasped. Was it just a child's imagination or a warning from blood? Either way, she knew she could not afford another heartbreak. Why did I see you with Iminike? She asked. Uche's face shifted. I was protecting you. I want them to stay away. But Nkechi wasn't moved. Trust had scars in her world. And this time, she wouldn't wait to be destroyed. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply closed the door. Because some women learn, not all love is safe. Some smiles are weapons. Some hearts can't afford to open. Not yet. Not again. They didn't wait for permission. They came with money, men, and machines. Ready to flatten everything she built. But what they didn't know was that they were waking up a woman who no longer feared war. They didn't hide anymore. A threat. Nailed to her own fence. But they forgot Nkechi had once lost everything and survived. She wouldn't fold now. She'd fight back. For her son. For herself. For every woman they thought they could silence, he returned. Bruised. Angry. I was warning them. I swear. That night you saw me, I was threatening Iminike to back off. They attacked me later. To send a message. Nkechi's heart pulled. But could she trust again? She didn't beg. She brought receipts, proof of land ownership. Threats, bribes. Her voice didn't shake. And when Chief Iminike walked in, smug and smiling, Nkechi turned, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "Try me." They struck that night. Fire. Fast. Ruthless. Her cassava field gone. Her dream, blackened. Obina screamed, "Mama, why do they hate us?" But Nkechi didn't answer. She just held him close. Fire may burn the field. But not the roots. Her story reached beyond Umadem. A journalist posted it online, the woman who refused to sell. In days, people from all over Nigeria started talking. Some offered support. Others came to stand with her. Nkechi was no longer alone. Obina stood in front of the crowd with a voice as clear as water. My mother didn't run. Even when men tried to bury her. They didn't know she was a seed. The village listened. The ground beneath Nkechi began to shift. Pride goes before a fall. And when the right story touches the right ears, empires collapse. Iminike's land deals were exposed. The people turned. He no longer smiled in the square. Now, he hid behind his gates. He didn't run. When Iminike sent thugs again, Uche stood in their path. Touch one leaf, and you'll answer to me and the gods. They didn't expect resistance. The men paused. Then walked away. For the first time. Nkechi believed him. She didn't burn bridges. She built walls. And planted trees. And now, even after the war, Nkechi stood tall. Because some women aren't just survivors. They are generations in motion. And she had fought. For more than herself. The letter was from the National Women's Council. She was invited to speak on resilience, land rights, and motherhood to other women. Nkechi laughed quietly. The same woman they once mocked. Now asked to lead, the world had bruised her, yet she survived. That day, she sat by the river, remembering her mother's voice. The song felt different now, like a goodbye to all the versions of herself that had suffered. She didn't build a palace. She built a future. A small school beside her farmland teaching girls about the soil, strength, the power of a woman, how they should stand for themselves and self-worth. Mama, why don't you ever talk about what happened before? She smiled. Because I'm more than what was done to me. That night, her second heart finally softened. Not gone, but resting, he came again. No ring this time. No promises. Just presence. And Nkechi, for the first time in years, said nothing. She walked to him and sat beside him. Sometimes, healing doesn't need permission. Just timing, the final judgment came. Years of corruption finally exposed. His lands taken. His titles stripped. Nkechi didn't celebrate. Because real queens don't dance on ashes, they plant gardens over them. She wrote a letter. Not for anyone to read. But to the girl she once was. You didn't deserve what happened. But you became gold through fire. I'm proud of you. That letter she buried. Under the tree where her journey began, no wedding. No drums. Just a quiet yes. A yes to peace. To partnership. To love that is not born from desperation, but from rebirth. She would always carry two hearts, one made of love, the other of scars. But for the first time, both beat in harmony. She was no longer divided. She was whole, and so. The woman everyone once mocked now became the woman they fear, and they named their daughters after her. Not because she was perfect, but because she survived without turning bitter. The woman with two hearts. Finally rested. Never let betrayal steal your ability to rebuild. It's okay to break. It's okay to be angry, but don't stay broken, don't stay bitter. Heal, rise, and become a new version of yourself, because even a heart torn in two can still beat strong.